It was just another Tuesday morning in Cedar Falls, Iowa. The yellow school bus pulled up to its regular stops, collecting sleepy teenagers headed to another day of classes. But when 16-year-old Sarah climbed aboard, something was different. Her hands trembled as she passed the driver. She didn't make her usual small talk. Instead, she pressed a folded piece of paper into his palm and whispered 5 words that would change everything. "Please read this when I'm sitting down." Frank Morrison, a bus driver with 28 years of experience, watched Sarah take her seat. Then he unfolded the note. 3 words, written in shaky handwriting: "Please help me." In that moment, Frank had maybe 60 seconds to make a decision that would determine whether someone lived or died. What he did next would save a life and remind an entire community that heroes don't always wear capes. Sometimes they just wear reflective vests and pay attention. If you believe ordinary people can do extraordinary things, hit that subscribe button right now. This story will prove it. Sarah Bennett was the kind of kid most adults would call good. She played shortstop on the Cedar Falls High School softball team, maintained a solid B+ average, and worked weekend shifts at Martha's Diner to save money for college. Her mom, Jennifer, had raised her alone since Sarah was 3, after her father left and never looked back. For 13 years, it had been just the 2 of them. They had game nights, inside jokes, and a small house on Maple Street that felt like home. Sarah's mom worked 2 jobs: receptionist at the dentist's office during the day, online customer service at night, but somehow always made time for Sarah's games, her school events, her life. Then, about 6 months ago, everything shifted. Jennifer started dating Marcus, a construction foreman she'd met through a friend. At first, it seemed promising. He was charming, brought flowers, helped fix things around the house. When he suggested moving in to help with expenses, it felt practical. Jennifer seemed happier, less stressed about money. But slowly, almost imperceptibly, things began to change. Sarah noticed her mom making excuses, canceling plans last minute, avoiding eye contact, becoming quiet around Marcus. The laughter disappeared from their house. Her mom stopped attending Sarah's games, claiming she was too tired, though Sarah suspected it was because Marcus didn't like her going out. Sarah tried to talk to her mom about it, but Jennifer would force a smile and insist everything was fine. "Just adjusting to living with someone new," she'd say. "You know how it is." Except Sarah didn't know. All she knew was that her mom was slipping away, and she felt powerless to stop it. Until that Sunday night, Sarah was in her bedroom, headphones on, trying to focus on AP history homework, when she heard the shouting start. It wasn't the first time. Over the past few months, the arguments had become more frequent. Marcus's voice growing louder and more aggressive, while her mom's grew quieter, more apologetic. She turned up her music, trying to drown it out, but her heart hammered against her ribs. The walls weren't thick enough. She heard crashes, her mother's voice pleading, then silence, the kind of silence that's somehow worse than noise. Sarah didn't sleep that night. Monday morning, she found her mother in the kitchen, moving carefully like every step hurt. Her mom's face was pale, eyes red and swollen. She wore a long-sleeved shirt despite the warm spring weather and kept one arm pressed against her ribs. "Mom, what happened? Are you okay?" "I'm fine, sweetie. Just fell down the stairs last night. Clumsy me." The lie hung in the air between them, obvious and painful. "Where's Marcus?" "He left for work early." "Listen, you need to get ready for school. Don't want to miss the bus." Sarah felt torn in half. Every instinct screamed to stay home, to protect her mom, to call someone. But another part of her, the part that had been conditioned by months of "everything's fine," hesitated. Then her mom did something unexpected. She grabbed Sarah's hand, squeezed it tight, and whispered, "Go to school. Please. It's safer if you go." In that moment, Sarah understood. Going to school wasn't abandoning her mother. It was the way to save her. "Mom, write something down." "Anything. I'll get help, I promise." With shaking hands, Jennifer scribbled on a piece of notebook paper, folded it, and pressed it into Sarah's palm. "Give this to someone you trust. Don't let anyone else see it. Have you ever noticed something was wrong, but didn't know how to help? Drop a comment. You're not alone in that feeling. Frank Morrison had been driving school bus 47 for 28 years. He knew every stop, every bump in the road, every kid's name, even the ones who tried to slouch past him without saying hello. Frank noticed things. It was his superpower and his responsibility. 3 years ago, the Cedar Falls School District had mandated new training for all bus drivers, recognizing signs of distress in students. Frank remembered sitting in that conference room, thinking it was just another bureaucratic requirement, another day of his time wasted on paperwork and videos. But then the trainer, a former social worker, said something that stuck with him. You see these kids every single day, more consistently than most teachers, more than some parents. You might be the only stable adult in their life. You might be the only one who notices when something's wrong. That hit differently. From that day forward, Frank paid even closer attention. He noticed when Emma Rodriguez started losing weight and referred her to the school counselor. Turned out she was struggling with an eating disorder and needed help. He noticed when Tommy Chin stopped making eye contact and seemed withdrawn. Tommy's parents were going through a messy divorce, and he was falling through the cracks. Frank didn't consider himself a hero. He was just a bus driver who gave a damn. This Tuesday morning, Frank followed his usual routine, pulled up to each stop at the exact same time, opened the door with a smile, greeted each student by name. Morning, Jake. Looking sharp today. Hey, Madison, ready for that math test? What's up, Carlos? Then Sarah Bennett climbed aboard. Frank had driven Sarah for 3 years. She was always cheerful, always said good morning, usually chat about softball or complain about homework. Today, she looked like a different person. Her face was pale, eyes red-rimmed, hands trembling so badly she could barely grip the handrail. She walked past him quickly, then stopped, turned back. The folded paper pressed into his hand felt heavier than it should. Please read this when I'm sitting down, she whispered. Frank watched her take her seat 4 rows back, then open the note. 3 words, please help me. Frank's heart slammed against his chest. His training kicked in immediately, flooding his mind with protocols and procedures. But underneath it all was a simple human truth. Someone was in danger right now. He read the note again, looking for more information, but there were only those 3 desperate words. He glanced up at the rear-view mirror, found Sarah's reflection. She was staring at him, her expression a mixture of terror and pleading hope. Other students chattered around her, oblivious. The normal sounds of morning, backpacks zipping, phones buzzing, someone laughing at a video. The world continuing as if nothing was wrong. But everything was wrong. Frank's mind raced. He had 32 students on this bus, all depending on him to get them safely to school. But one of those students was depending on him for something far more critical. The training manual didn't cover this exact scenario. There was no flowchart for student hands you a crisis note. He made a decision. Pulling the bus to the shoulder, Frank engaged the hazard lights and reached for his radio. Dispatch, this is Bus 47. I have an emergency situation requiring immediate police response. The dispatcher's voice crackled back. Bus 47, what's the nature of the emergency? Frank chose his words carefully, aware that 32 pairs of ears might be listening. I have credible information about a dangerous situation at a student's residence. An adult at 2847 Maple Street may be in immediate danger and unable to call for help. Police need to respond now. Can you confirm the source of this information? Frank looked back at Sarah again. She nodded, tears streaming down her face. Confirmed. This is reliable intel from a student on my bus. I'm requesting immediate dispatch. Copy that, Bus 47. Units are being sent to that address now. Do you need additional support? Negative. I'm securing my students and continuing to the school, but I need child services notified and a counselor ready when we arrive. Understood. Good work, Frank. Frank set down the radio and walked back to Sarah's seat. He crouched down so they were eye level, his voice gentle but steady. Help is on the way to your mom right now. Police are going to make sure she's safe. You did exactly the right thing. You're incredibly brave, Sarah. Her voice broke. Will she be okay? The police are the best people to help her right now. And you just did something that took more courage than most adults ever have to show. I'm going to drive us to school, and there's going to be a counselor waiting for you. You're not alone anymore. Okay. Sarah nodded, unable to speak. Hit that like button if you believe in people who take action when it matters most. Frank returned to the driver's seat, checked his mirrors, and pulled back onto the road. His hands were steady on the wheel, but his heart was pounding. He'd done his part. Now he had to trust that the system would do its job. Behind him, Sarah sat with her forehead pressed against the window, watching the familiar streets of Cedar Falls pass by, praying that when police arrived, her mother would still be alive. At 7:43 a.m., 2 police cruisers pulled up to 2847 Maple Street. Officers knocked on the door, identifying themselves clearly. When Marcus opened it, looking annoyed and caught off guard, they could see Jennifer Bennett behind him, sitting on the couch, clearly in distress. "Ma'am, are you Jennifer Bennett? We received a report that you might need assistance." Jennifer's eyes widened. For a split second, Marcus's expression shifted, anger flashing across his face before he could mask it. But the officers saw it. They'd seen it 1,000 times before. "I'm fine, officers. There must be some mistake. Ma'am, we'd like to speak with you privately, if that's all right." The way Jennifer flinched when Marcus moved told them everything they needed to know. One officer positioned himself between Marcus and Jennifer. The other called for medical assistance. Within minutes, paramedics arrived. Jennifer's injuries were serious enough to require hospitalization: bruised ribs, possible internal trauma, defensive wounds on her arms. She'd been too afraid to seek help. Her phone confiscated days ago, isolated from friends and family by Marcus's controlling behavior. Marcus was taken into custody without incident. A protective order was immediately filed. At Cedar Falls High School, Sarah sat in the counselor's office, a victim advocate by her side. Principal Henderson personally thanked Frank in the main office. "You saved that woman's life today, Frank. I hope you know that." Frank shook his head. "Sarah saved her mother's life. I just answered the call for help. That kid showed more courage at 16 than most people show in a lifetime." The story spread quickly through Cedar Falls. Local news covered it while protecting identities. The school district expanded its training program, making sure every employee, from janitors to administrators, knew how to recognize and respond to signs of abuse. Frank received recognition from the district, but he deflected every compliment. "I just did what anyone should do. Pay attention. Care enough to act. That's it." 6 months later, Sarah and her mother had relocated to a safe apartment across town. Jennifer was in therapy, rebuilding her life. Sarah had returned to softball. Her grades recovered, her smile genuine again. She wrote Frank a letter that he kept in his glove compartment. "Dear Mr. Morrison, I don't know if I'll ever find the right words to thank you for what you did. You didn't just save my mom's life. You showed me that asking for help isn't weakness. It's the bravest thing you can do. You showed me that there are still good people in the world who pay attention and who care. I want to be that kind of person someday. Thank you for seeing me when I needed to be seen. With gratitude, Sarah." Sarah's story isn't unique, and that's a heartbreaking truth. According to the National Coalition Against Domestic Violence, 1 in 4 women and 1 in 9 men experience severe intimate partner violence in their lifetime. Children living in these households often feel trapped, helpless, and terrified, watching someone they love suffer while feeling powerless to stop it. The statistics are staggering. Nearly 70% of domestic violence cases go unreported. Why? Fear of retaliation, shame, financial dependence, the belief that no one will help or that things will get worse if they speak up. The isolation tactics abusers use deliberately cut victims off from support systems, making escape feel impossible. Sarah's story matters because it shows there are ways to break the silence, even when direct action feels too dangerous. Her mother's quick thinking, using Sarah as a messenger to a trusted adult, created a lifeline, and Frank's training gave him the tools to recognize that lifeline and pull. This is where all of us come in. We don't need special training to pay attention. We don't need a badge or a degree to notice when something feels wrong. Teachers, coaches, neighbors, co-workers, bus drivers, we all have eyes and we all have voices. Warning signs aren't always obvious, but they're there. Someone who suddenly withdraws from activities they once loved, personality changes, becoming quieter, more anxious, more isolated, frequent accidents, or unexplained injuries. A partner who exhibits controlling behavior, monitoring calls, limiting contact with friends and family, making all the decisions fear around certain topics or when certain people are mentioned. Frank's training made a critical difference, but here's what really mattered. Sarah knew he was safe. She knew because he'd shown consistent kindness for 3 years. He learned names. He asked how games went. He paid attention. When crisis struck, she knew exactly who to trust. That's the power we all have, to be safe people. To create environments where someone in danger knows they can reach out, to notice, to care, to act. After Frank's intervention, 3 more students at Cedar Falls High came forward with concerns about their home situations. The system worked because people paid attention and took those concerns seriously. 3 more families received intervention and support. 3 more cycles potentially broken. Breaking generational trauma requires community awareness. It requires all of us deciding that looking away is not an option, that it's not my business, is not acceptable when someone's safety is at stake. You don't need to have all the answers. You just need to care enough to connect someone with people who do. If this story resonates with you, share it. It might reach someone who desperately needs to hear it. Sarah's story ended with hope, healing, and a second chance. But not every story does. Every day, people are trapped in dangerous situations, believing there's no way out or that no one will help if they ask. If you or someone you know is experiencing domestic violence, please know that help exists and you deserve to be safe. National Domestic Violence Hotline, 1-800-799-7233, SAFE. Text START to 88788, online chat available 24/7 at thehotline.org. These services are free, confidential, and staffed by trained advocates who can help with safety planning, local resources, and emotional support. For those who want to help others, trust your instincts. If something feels wrong, it probably is. Ask directly, are you safe? How can I support you? Listen without judgment. Leaving an abusive relationship is complicated and dangerous. On average, it takes 7 attempts before someone leaves permanently. Help connect them to professional resources. Follow up. Showing you still care matters enormously. Frank Morrison's words echo in Cedar Falls and beyond. Everyone deserves to feel safe in their own home. If you can help make that happen, even in the smallest way, you have a responsibility to do it. The real heroes are the ones who pay attention when it's easier to look away, the ones who believe someone when they ask for help, the ones who act when it matters most. Subscribe to this channel for more stories that remind us we can make a difference. Comment below, what would you do if someone handed you that note? And please share this video. It might save a life. Be the person someone can trust. Be the Frank Morrison in someone's story. Pay attention. Care enough to act. That's how we change the world, one notice moment at a time.